Hello everybody, welcome back to another episode of City Skylines. Today we will be starting my City Skylines Beginner's Guide, where I will be going over how I play the game as well as tips I have learned over the years to help you play the game better. So if you are new, this is a good place to start. I will be going over all 25 DLC and content creator packs in order of release. I will also be going over my design theology and ways that I plan out my cities to ensure they look good but also work well. First thing I want to mention is that there is no clear endgame here. It can be different for everyone. There are milestones, but they are only loosely tied to your city by its population. It's not tied to how you design the city, it's not really tied to a lot of different things other than maybe traffic. So what I have found over the years of playing is that it is more enjoyable to formulate your own goals. And this is a good place to start. This map is called Coastal Gem, and it is a part of the Plazas and Promenades DLC. Feel free to choose any map, especially if you're brand new. You probably only have the vanilla ones. I chose this one because I was inspired by it. I really like the map, and so right now Plazas and Promenades is the only DLC that is installed at the moment. And it's kind of funny, there's a bunch of these standard buttons that do end up changing. There's actually a lot that changes, and that's why I want to kind of take the DLCs in order rather than kind of jumping around, because we can look at a lot of the game-changing mechanics that do change. So looking at this map, we can see that it is really flat. And so one of the things with building with flat maps is they're actually called builders maps. And so what that means is these milestones become a little bit bigger. So right now our megalopolis is 70,000. If you're playing on a map that has a ton of hills or water, say you're playing on like an island map or something, then these milestones will be closer. And so these are not set in stone. It's not every map you're going to go on a megalopolis is 70,000. It really depends on the type of map you're playing on. So when I first start out a city, I first identify where I would like the downtown. And the reason I do this is because I find the game more enjoyable, and I find that the city functions better if I take a broader view of it. So looking at this map, I think that this location is the perfect spot for our downtown. And the reason is because it has great water accessibility, so we can put a harbor in here. There is train line access right here, so we can have this come down. So this would be a great hub for our whole city. I really like the location. I really think this map is just fantastic. I love the details that they did in here, and you can really tell. One of the things we'll go over is how the maps slowly start getting better with the new DLCs as well. Another thing that I do whenever I'm first starting out, I start to think about my road layouts. And this is city planning in its purest form. The more we can think about this beforehand, the better we will be down the road. And what I mean by this is, if you can plan out some arterials, some basic road layouts, then what happens is later on down the road, you already kind of know what you're going to do. If you take it just one section at a time, it can really snowball into a lot of issues. And so thinking about all this, let's go ahead and jump right in. So if you're brand new to the game, the first thing you want to do is jump in here, go to options, go into gameplay, and actually come down here and hit pause the game after loading. This is a really good thing to have, just because as your cities expand, you always want to make sure that it's paused when you first load in, especially if your loads become a little bit bigger. So also in here, you can affect your autosave time. So I have mine set to every 20 minutes. You can turn off day-night cycle if you have the After Dark DLC. You can also turn off weather if you don't like the rain. You can also disable fire spreading, which I normally do because fire spreading in this game is pretty unrealistic. So we'll actually keep that unchecked though, so I can kind of show you guys. And so when you first start, you pretty much have everything locked other than this, basic 2-lane road. So what I'll do is just paint it down and then come back through here and delete that. And so you'll see this little tab down here. This is for all networks. And so within this game, networks are all roads, sometimes fences. If you're playing with assets, they can be hedges. Keys are networks. So anytime you're playing with a network, you'll get this little tab down here. And so this first one is toggle snapping. And so what this means is these are like those little lines or the dotted lines. If you ever want it to be like a perfect 90-degree, or say you're trying to make like a perfect little curve or something like that, if you want to just hand draw everything, which I routinely do, especially sometimes the grids or the network will stick within a grid that you don't want it to, you can just turn them all off, and it really allows you to just do whatever you want. So if you come in here, you can do this. So these tabs right here, this is straight. So anytime you click this, your network's just going to go straight. Anytime you do this, you'll click it. This little dotted line is to see how far out you want your curve to go. So you'll bring this out, say you want your, circumference to end right there. You'll come up here, and that's how you can make like the perfect circle if you do it. I'll show you guys a little trick later. So freeform is very similar to the curve tool, but it better allows you to kind of curve in different directions. So if you want to go back and forth, something like that. So that's actually what we're going to use right now. So we are going to jump into a 2-lane one-way. One of the things that I routinely do with cities is develop this road into two things. So it's either going to be a highway or a highway-like road. So it's going to be an arterial that does not have any zoning on this. And I feel that this is super important. This is something that a lot of cities get wrong. They start building out stroads, and next thing you know, you have a collector that also functions as an arterial. And it just creates a ton of traffic. You'll have heavy traffic on that road. You'll have people trying to cut into commercial, and it just really creates a mess. And so what we want to do is come down here, and I'm actually going to turn on snapping. I'm going to go down 3, and I'm going to come over 3. And the reason I'm doing that is because I want to make sure that those nodes land in the exact spot. So we want to come out 3, then we want to go out 2, and then we'll come out 3 again, and then we'll go ahead and finish that up. And the reason we're doing this is because we are going to come in here and delete these now. So we're going to delete 3, and then we are going to delete 3 and delete 3. And so now we should be able to grab our freeform tool, come all the way out here until we hit that little node, and then we will connect it up, create the perfect little curve, and we'll do the same thing here. So we'll come out here, create the perfect little curve, and so now we have our first couplet. And so my plan for this is to actually put some zoning in the middle, but we can really use this for a lot of different things. We could use it for green space, we could use it for commercial. It really leaves a lot of room for us to be able to do stuff. And this is something that you do see in cities as well. Like I know DC has a few of these, Boston has one of these, Phoenix has one of these. They're not quite as distanced, but it is something that you do tend to see in cities. And so now if you go to this upgrade tool and you hold that right mouse button, you can go down and actually flip all this around. And this is a tool that you'll use quite often. And so because this is early in the game, you want to go ahead and use dirt roads. If you look at that little cost, it says 20 cents per sale. If we come over here to our one way, it is 40 cents. And so roads can become pretty expensive really fast, especially early on in the game. Especially whenever you first start, you only have 70,000. So you can see we've already used 11,000 of our money, which is quite a bit. Okay, so now what I want to do is start laying out our grid pattern. And so I am a firm believer in having bigger grids, and the reason for that is because I think having too many turns and too many lights really contributes to gridlock. Being somebody who has been to and driven almost every major metropolitan area in the United States, I can say from firsthand experience that having too many turns creates a ton of issues. Most cities, if they were to just take like every other block and turn it into a pedestrian road, would probably be better for it. And so that's what we're going to do here. We're going to go a little bit bigger. So what we're doing is 2x1s, and then we'll probably even delete some of these. I'll kind of show you guys a little trick that I use to just make like prettier grids. So we're going to come up over here, we're going to go out again, we're going to come up over here, go out once again, and then come up over here and do the same thing. And what this is going to allow us to do is grab that freeform tool, make sure you're straight, and then come all the way down and connect this up. And so we want to make sure that this is level. We're going to go back to that straight tool, come up over here. Nice. And so now we have followed that curve along almost parallel, which actually looks really good. And so I want to do the same thing on this side. So I'm going to go out 2, come out 1, 10 units, and then 1 more, do the same thing, come out 10 units and then 1 more. And I think that's probably good. I don't really want to mess with this couplet over here. And so we will come up like this, and let's go ahead and line that up again. So we'll go like that, go back to that straight tool, connect that up. Perfect. And so you can kind of already see we are running a little low on cash. I do want this road to go straight. So I'm going to go ahead and do this, and then we're going to come back through and delete that road. So I'm going to connect this up and then go like this. And then now what that's going to allow us to do is actually just go straight. And so my plan for this is to create our industrial area right here so that we can create another access point off of the freeway. So one of the things that I'll routinely do and recommend is you to grow along the freeway. The reason for that is because this is your best arterial. It's really going to help out your city in a lot of ways. Most times that I see myself or others having traffic issues, it's because they don't have enough freeway connections. You'll end up getting bottlenecks in your cities and stuff like that. And so now let's go ahead and complete this grid. Perfect. And you know what? I feel like that's probably pretty good for right now. I think maybe we can extend these out just a smidge more since we're going to do our residential over here. And then I don't want to get too crazy with it. This is something that you can definitely take a little bit too far and then create some problems for yourself. So you want to connect that up. And then now let's start looking at our utilities. So in the early game, you don't really have a lot of options. You can start doing windmills or coal power plants. Windmills are great. The problem is the wind is actually variable, just like in real life. And so I've had cities where I'll place down a bunch of windmills, and then all of a sudden my whole city starts to go through like blackouts because the wind is not blowing as fast. And so I normally stick with the coal power plants. So we're going to come up over here, and I normally like to create little spaces for these. I don't like to just drop these down. And so I do also tend to use water towers. I really like the look of water towers. It kind of gives me that rural kind of town vibe. And then in the vanilla game, your first sewage is just a water drain pipe, which is just terrible. So if you ever want to jump out of this while you're still collecting, you can just go up here and then hit out of that. So we are literally just going to just dump this right on our beach because I think that this is super unrealistic. I don't know why they decided to just do this. Like, I mean, I'm pretty sure these are outlawed in most countries. I think some countries still do use them, but it's not super common. And so now we will come up over here, and I do tend to follow the road just because it's a pretty popular idea in the City Skylines community. It is more realistic as well. It's definitely not better for your cities. So for your city, if you're trying to maximize the cost of your cities, what you want to do is have as little overlap as possible between those two circles. And so because this is a network, we can come down here, go ahead and turn this off, and then go like this all the way around. Let's go ahead and go like this. Let's turn this and then have this follow as well. And then we do need to get the other side of the road too. So we're going to come up over here. Let's connect this up, and I don't need to go all the way down. So we'll go like that, and then we will have this go like this, and then let's just have this go a little bit further as well. We'll go like that, and then let's connect up our water tower. We only have about $6,000 left, and we do need to do our power lines. So let's go ahead and connect this up. Now let's actually turn that back on. So we will come down here and have this go all the way around. And again, because this is a network, you do have this toggle snapping feature. So we will come down here, and then I just want this to go straight. We're going to end up having our residential in here. We do need to connect this up though, so I'm just going to connect that up arbitrarily for right now. So now what we can do is start zoning out. So if you jump into zoning, you do have a bunch of these little tabs. So this is residential, this is commercial, this is industrial, and this is to dezone. So your first little option is this little bucket. So if you come down here and just hit the whole bucket, it'll literally zone in any squares that are touching. If you go to the marquee tool, this is if you want to, be a little more precise. So say you want to just zone in little sections, you can go like that. And so like one of the things I do know that I want to do is create some paths. So what we're going to do is try to find a middle ground. So if we come right here and then go across, I think we're a little off on one side. So if we go like this, so we're going to go ahead and go like that because it is going to be more even. And then we're also going to leave the ends of these roads open as well because I want to create a path right there. So we're going to do a path this way. We're going to have a path right there. Let's go ahead and get rid of 3 in the middle here as well so that we can create that path. It does look like maybe we're 1 off. So we're going to go like this. And so now your next tools are these 2 little brushes. And so the small brush allows you to just kind of go in there and get a couple little segments if you want to. I don't ever really use this tool. I'm not even sure if that's still available in the later game. I don't remember seeing that, but maybe I just never use it. The big brush I do tend to use, especially if you have like a bunch of little broken areas or you're working on a curve. It is a good tool to use. It just allows you to kind of zone it in a little quicker. So I do want to come in here and get some little path access as well. So we'll go like that. And then let's come up here, do the same thing. We'll go ahead and remove just a couple of them. We just want to create that, maneuverability for people. So we will come up here, go ahead and zone that in. Let's do the same thing here. And then let's do the same thing here. And so now we have some nice residential zoning. We have water pipes in here. They have electricity right here. So we're not going to have any issues. So now the next thing we need to do is figure out what we're going to do with our commercial. So we can do a road down the middle and do commercial right there, or we can do commercial over here. I do not want commercial on this couplet. I really want this couplet to have great access. So I think what we're going to do, just because this is the beginning of our city, we're going to go ahead and put it in the middle and turn this into like a little city center. So we will go like this, and then we're going to go ahead and zone 4 squares on either side, but we are going to come back through and get rid of some for our paths because I really want to create that access. And this is really going to help us create a sense of place as well. So we'll be able to come back through here, do paths, maybe create some plazas, make it into a fun space. And so now we need to come over here and do our industrial. So I think I'm just going to go ahead and paint these 2 in. I don't want to get crazy with this just yet. And I know I want to turn this into a space, and we may turn these into little spaces as well because we need to do parks and stuff like that too. And so now we're at a point where we can unpause. So we're going to go ahead and hit that play button, and we are going to pump up that speed so that we can let our poor little sims start to move in. And right away our city starts building. So the goal for this series is to probably grow at about a 5,000 population every episode for a total of probably about 30 episodes, just because there's 25 DLCs and content creator packs, and we will probably have a couple DLCs or content creator packs where we spend a couple episodes on. Some of them are really fun, and so I'm definitely excited to show you guys it. It's really cool to spend a long time since I've played in pure vanilla without all the DLCs, and so kind of adding them all in is going to be a really fun thing for us to do. So I'm going to go ahead and let this play for a minute. We want to hit this first milestone, so if we go ahead and go all the way back to the front, first milestone, Little Hamlet, 420, we get our first unlocks, and so we should be there pretty quick. Okay, so we have hit our first unlock, Little Hamlet, 420. And so what does this give us? So it gives us access to the taxes tab and also some loans, which a lot of times can come in handy. I tend to try to shy away from these because it does take away from your weekly income. But the most important things are it gives us garbage service, our first healthcare clinic, and education. And so these are the buildings that you unlock. Every time you hit a milestone, you will see this little page that kind of tells you everything. And as you add in more DLCs, it just becomes really big, like you'll end up scrolling down. And so the first thing I want to do is plop down a garbage facility. So I want to come all the way up here. The reason I'm putting it back here is because I'm planning on actually having this turn, and we're going to put it back here right next to our freeway off-ramp right here. And we're going to end up doing a large kind of garbage facility. And that's one of the things that I was kind of telling you guys about with planning. So now for our clinic, what I would like to do is have it in a more centralized location so that it can cover both areas. Just allow us to spend a little less money on it. Industry does still need access to these. So I'm going to go ahead and place this right here, so that it is going to cover both sides, and we can actually look at this, and yeah, there you go. We can kind of see it covers pretty much the whole area. There's a little bit of gray over here. So this green is all of the coverage by that facility. Just because it's gray doesn't mean that these people don't have access. It just means that they're not going to benefit from being closer to it. So this does affect things like land value and stuff like that. So like upgrading homes, whenever you come in here, a lot of times it'll say like educate more citizens like it does here. But other times it'll say like proximity to services. And so that's one of the things is like health clinics or transit lines or fire department, police department, stuff like that, or schools. So the next thing we want to build is our education system. So we come down here, it's only $10,000. We need to wait just a little bit. And so in order for us to make a little bit of money, we can come in here to taxes, and we are going to pump it all the way up to 12. For some reason, 12 just seems to be like the natural barrier between people still wanting to move in and them being happy, and then you getting a bunch of little notifications that say people are tired of paying high taxes. So the second you put it to 13, all of a sudden people are like, I want to move away. And so it's just something you want to think about. But our city's doing pretty good. We're making money. Now we're making almost 1,000 a week, which is fantastic. So if we come down here, let's go ahead and replicate our grid a little bit. So we're going to go like this, come all the way down. And what I'm going to do is just basically probably draw this out a little bit more, and then replicate our grid just a bit. And then I want to replicate this as well. All right, and so I have built out the grid, and we are now at a point where we are going to start placing down our education. So I want to identify an area, and I'm thinking this circle right here. Especially in America, it's really common to have elementary schools in the middle of residential areas. And it was actually a policy in the late 1900s for the government to encourage neighborhoods to be kind of built around elementary schools. And so we're going to go ahead and place it right here. And we do have a demand for more residential. So what we're going to do is go ahead and zone in some more of this, because we really need to get our city growing. So we're going to go ahead and zone this in. And then what we're going to do is go ahead and leave this one empty. So we'll come down here, zone that in. We'll do the same thing over here, kind of copy that across. And then we do need to do the same thing here. We'll go like this, and we should start getting these growth in here. This growth in here. What we do need to do is make sure that we plop down some more water pipes. We're going to come in here, kind of follow that road down. Oh, look at that. We've already hit our next unlock. So 850. Early in the game, you do hit these pretty quick. And so what this unlocks is districts. So now you can draw a district for different areas in your city and use policies, which I'll kind of show you guys some tricks that you can use with policies to make your city run a little better. You get another loan, some more district specializations, which I don't know if we have any other than the ones that come with the plazas and promenades, which we're not going to play with because I don't want to use those buildings. And so we have the fire department, the police department, and unique buildings as well, which is fantastic. So we have forestry specialization, agricultural specialization, and then we have power usage, water usage, smoke. These are the policies that you can use. And then we have some new buildings, which this is one of the buildings that came with the plazas and promenades, so we are not going to use that. And so now let's come up here, let's finish what we were doing. And so now they have access, but more importantly, we have been given $20,000 for us to kind of play around with. And so I want to come in here and let's actually create a little space for it. So we're going to have a road, and we're going to go like this. We're going to have it turn. And because there's no parking lots in the vanilla game, there's not really anything we can do with that. But one of the things I do want to do is place it down here and then do a park next to it. We haven't unlocked parks yet, but we will here soon. So we're going to go ahead and place that right there. And then we're going to put a park right next to it. And this would be just where, like, you know, parents would line up to kind of pick up the kids. And then we'll do some trees around. It just makes it a little bit safer rather than kind of being off the road. And this is something that I'm a little more used to. So now let's come in here to our fire tab. And I want to follow that same kind of theory that we had before. We're going to go ahead and place it right in the middle. Let's actually put it on this side, because especially industrial does need fire coverage. So we're going to do the same thing with the police. We're going to come over here. Let's go ahead and place it just across the street. Oh, we actually don't have enough money. Oh, no. So we need $12,000, which we're actually making pretty good money. So that should be pretty quick. Let's pump up that speed just so that we can get it a little bit faster. While we're waiting, let's go ahead and draw out our first little district. So we will go ahead and draw this all in, and we're going to call this Old Town. And we'll go like this, come all the way down, and we'll go like that. Perfect. Nice. And so let's go ahead and draw this in as its own district as well. This is going to be an industrial district. And then we will draw in the middle one as its own district too. This is going to be like our city center. So we'll go like this. And so one of the fun things that you do get is you're able to name these. So if we come into Pine District, go all the way up here, we're going to name this Old Town, even though right now it's New Town. And then we're going to name this the Center, just because it's kind of a catchy name. And a lot of times with commercial centers, they try to, come up with something like that. And then we'll name this Industrial Park, just because, the people who named it didn't really think of anything fun. And so we are getting our first touch of weather as well. This is rain. And one of the cool things with rain is it actually makes your roads a little bit shinier. Though I kind of wish it, instead of these being shiny, it made it into like mud, because people would be driving through the mud right now. But it does make our roads like a little bit shinier, like there's water on it. And so one of the things I do wish it did was I wish it made people kind of drive slower, like maybe they're afraid of driving in the rain. And so now if we're looking down at our tab, we can kind of see that we have a medium demand for commercial and a medium demand for office or industrial. And so this is something that you want to be aware of. One of the things that I have learned over the years is that you typically don't want to run down your commercial demand. You typically want to keep it about the middle. And so if you do mass zoning and start zoning out a ton of stuff, you'll typically hit like a roadblock where things will stop building because your demand will just kind of disappear. And so it's best to just do a little bit of building at a time. And it also does help out with something called death waves. So if you have the game paused and you zone out a bunch of new areas and then you unpause it, all the people who now populate that area will all die at the same time. And so it makes it really kind of challenging later on. And so looking at this, we do know that I want to turn this couplet. So I think what we'll do is start to curve it. So we will grab this and start to curve it down this way. And then to ensure that this is the same distance, what I want to do is measure this. So it is 2 units, or 2 big blocks, about 10 units. And we'll go like this. And we're going to go ahead and follow this around and connect that up. Nice. And so now we can ensure that this is the correct distance away. And let's go ahead and connect this up. And look at that. Man, we're already hitting these unlocks super fast. Tiny town, 1300. So now this has unlocked landscaping, parks and plazas, level 2 unique buildings, which we're not going to focus on that pedestrian areas. That's with the new DLC. Unlocks a bunch of new roads, a bunch of stuff that we didn't have before. More importantly, it unlocks parks as well as libraries and some plazas and stuff. A lot of fun things that we can start placing down. So I do want to just extend this out before we kind of move on. So I want this to go right there and I want it to go straight. Let's go ahead and draw this grid out just a smidge and come all the way down. And so one of the things that you can do to make your city look a little bit better, especially whenever you're dealing with terrain like this, is to kind of follow the terrain. So if we come down like right here, let's go ahead and go like this. And you don't really want to follow the terrain exactly. You want to leave some space to be able to build some things. So maybe like a little hotel, or maybe even like apartments or something like that, or a unique building, something fun. And so now that we have that road, what we're going to do is go ahead and connect all these up. So we'll come all the way down, connect this up, connect that up. And we're going to go ahead and leave a space there for a park. So now I want to come down here, connect this up, and then we'll come in here, do the same thing. And then I think we're going to leave that empty as well, though I do wish some of these to be filled. So we're going to go ahead and fill this one in. Let's go ahead and do this as well. And then what we're going to do is curve this in. Nice. And so this actually is starting to look really cool. So we have our elementary right there. We know we unlocked our high school, but now we do want to go into our playground, and I want to put it right next to our elementary school. I feel like this is going to be good. So if you come in here, this is your parks and plazas tab. And so it has parks, your little basic plazas, some other parks like basketball court, stuff like that. This is the new DLC, so we're not going to focus on those. And so anytime you want to come in here, a lot of times as you go further on in the game too, you'll get like props and stuff in here. And so this is a tab that you will routinely use quite a bit. So we are going to place down this large playground. We're going to go like that. Yeah, look at that. Nice. This is fantastic. And so another thing we did unlock is paths. So if we come all the way down here to this landscaping tab, so we have the ability to morph the ground to our pleasure. We can literally do whatever we want. I could put a mountain right here. I could flatten it out. I could do a slope. This is something that you use a lot, especially in the vanilla game, to make sure that your roads are kind of smooth. This is also where you're going to find your trees and also like vegetation, like little, like foliage, stuff like that. If you want rocks, this is where they're going to be found. Water structures as well, so like canals, stuff like that. But then this is also where you're going to find paths. So we're going to come in here and go to this pavement path. And because this is a network, you get these little tools down here. We're going to come over here, turn off snapping. And the reason I turn off snapping is because I want to be able to draw this in. So we're going to go like that. We're going to come all the way across, draw this in. We're going to go like that. We're going to do the same thing here, draw that in. Perfect. And one of the things that kind of sucks with this game is people can't cross the road. So they have to actually go to an intersection to cross. With mods, you have the ability to add in a crossing node, but without mods, you don't have that ability. But it's still going to provide some accessibility for people on the same side of the road. So maybe people will kind of come down, like maybe this person right here is going to take this path and then come down here and then walk down the road. So it is still good to have the paths going down. It just like in real life, people would just kind of cut across. Nice. And so now we have created a tight grid pattern with paths, and I think this is just fantastic. And so what other buildings did we unlock? So we got I think we got our high school. We did. So if we come in here and look at our high school, so it's 24,000, and we are making some pretty good money. So we'll actually probably be there pretty quick. So these are things that you just want to kind of play around with. I'm not going to sit here and explain them all, but these are just basically your city vitals. They allow you to look at your city from a bunch of different perspectives, like water or electricity or overall happiness, or like building levels, so like where their upgrade levels are, outside connections, so like this tells you how many people are importing or exporting, natural resources stuff. There's a lot of great information in here. You can also look at like traffic routes. This is a good one. So like if you grab that, it just shows you where everybody's going. So like if you're having a ton of traffic in your city, you can see like, oh man, all these trucks are taking this road right here. So like if you were to upgrade a road, this might be a good road for us to upgrade at some point, because so many people are taking it. There's just not a lot of crossovers. And so definitely something to consider. Our demand is getting pretty high. So now what I want to do, we are still waiting to be able to afford this yet. So 24,000. Let's go ahead and start zoning out a little more industrial. So we are going to, and I actually want to get rid of some of this zoning. So if we come in here, let's go ahead and just plop down the middle of that. I want to follow this across. And this is one of the ways that you can keep your city looking good, is to kind of follow a pattern. So we'll go ahead and go like this. Let's go ahead and zone this back in. We will zone this in. Let's go ahead and follow this as well. And I think we're going to leave some of these empty because I want to be able to put in some like industrial parks or bigger buildings, or maybe even warehouses or something. And so we do have some space right here as well. We could put in something over there, or we can just kind of wait and see. I do want to extend this grid out just enough to get up to that trash delivery service. So we're going to go ahead and build this out. All right, so one of the things with these garbage facilities is that you can't just delete them or move them. You do have to empty them first. And so it's so funny because I didn't have the grid out. I didn't realize that we were going to be hitting that. That's definitely my mistake. But what I want to do is go ahead and put our trash facility over here. So I want this to come out like right there. And then let's go ahead and put our trash facility off of this road. So we are going to place one more right there. Let's go ahead and put a second one right next to it. So we will begin to empty this building so that we can transfer our facility over here and then not have to worry about that building anymore. And then we're going to be creating a freeway off-ramp right there. And so now our residential demand is starting to increase again. Let's go ahead and follow that same pattern. So let's count these first. So 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So let's go ahead and go 10 out. 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Perfect. And then let's go ahead and copy that on this side. And now we can pretty much go all the way up, which is fantastic. Let's go ahead and do the same thing on this side. Let's go all the way down. And I do want to leave some room for parks as well. So maybe we'll do a park space right there. We're going to do a big park space right here. And then I think we're going to use this for something too, because we do need to do a high school facility. And so let's go ahead. I'm going to zone in this area as well. Okay, and so we got it zoned in. We do want to place down a couple parks. We got this park. We got this park. Let's go ahead and place down a park up here, because you want to have a couple little neighborhood parks too. So I want to do this small park. Let's go ahead and turn this off. We are going to place this like right here. I actually think that that is an awesome location. Let's go ahead and remove zoning off that backside, because then it's going to allow us to kind of play around with this, turn it into something nicer. So we have a park right there, park right there. Let's go ahead and try to place another park over here if we can afford it. So we're going to go down to this Parks and Plazas, and we could do a playground would be good, or another one of these if we could fit it. Let's see. Man, that fit perfect in there. Nice. And so now we have adequate park coverage. We have little local parks, which are fantastic. I did also place down our water pipes as well. And so now I think we can expand our little city center over here. So let's go ahead and just go straight. We'll go like right there. Let's go ahead and extend this across. And then we do need to make a couple more connections. So we'll go like this. And then let's connect this up. We'll go like that. Fantastic. And then let's go in here and zone all this in. And so I do want to follow the same kind of theology with this. We want to extend this out and go out 4 units and then skip 3. Come all the way over here, go out. It's like right there. Perfect. Then let's skip 3, come all the way out here. Nice. And so we are, man, we're really doing a lot here. We do need to get some more residential zoning right here though. So we're going to come over here, go like this. Nice. This is already looking so great. We're going to come back through here and do some trees along this road. I really feel like that is a fantastic opportunity for us. I think we're going to go ahead and fill this in with zoning. I was tempted to do some residential there, but I just don't know if that would be the best bet. So now that this facility is empty, we can come up over here and go ahead and delete it. So we're going to bulldoze this. Nice. And so now we can come in here, extend our road out again. Fantastic. And we could even extend this out just to provide a little more accessibility for people. So now if somebody's coming up over here, they can just connect it up. Kind of feel like these can connect up too. No, it's not perfect. And so our city is coming along pretty nicely. And I really like this road layout. I think this is fantastic. And so I do want to extend this out. We're going to go like this and then build this across. Let's go ahead and go like this and do the same thing here. Go like this. Do the same thing here. Nice. And so we are going to create an interchange right here. Probably not right now. We still need to do our high school and kind of wait for some more money, stuff like that. While we're waiting though, I'm going to go ahead and do some paths coming all the way down, and then we should be hitting our new milestone here in just a second. Okay, paths are in. It looks like we still do need to do these. One of the things I forgot to mention is with paths, a lot of times if you just hit this little grid icon, it just makes it so much easier. So it actually sticks within that grid and it allows you to just draw a little bit easier, especially if you're going in between like neighborhood stuff like this. I still tend to free draw them a lot, but doing that is also a really nice trick. We are starting to run into electricity issues. So right now we are using 48 megawatts and we only have capacity for 40. So we do need to upgrade our facilities. So I want to come up here. Let's go ahead and hit pause and we are going to create a space for this. So I want to come in here and we could actually just put it right here and do a big facility behind it. So let's go ahead and take out a loan because we need to do that school too. So we're going to go over here to our economy tab. We're going to go to loans and let's go ahead and take out this $60,000 one because it's a little less every week. So $253 every week. It's going to give us a little bit of room to kind of play around with stuff. So we are going to grab this facility and let's go ahead and place it right there. And let's look at this thing because I want to be able to put some fences in there and stuff too. So I think that actually looks pretty good. Looks like we are kind of growing up a hill a little bit. Not much, but just a little bit. So I do want to move this facility right next to it. We're going to go ahead and space it just a smidge. And there we go. And so one of the first DLCs that we're going to jump into does introduce fences. And so we're going to come back through here and do some fences. Just kind of make it look a little bit cleaner. But now we have our power plant facility. I would like, with mods, I would put in some parking and just kind of clean it up a little bit. But because we're not playing without mods, we don't have that capability. Okay, and so we have hit our next unlock, Boom Town. So 2200, we have unlocked our first square, which allows us to purchase more areas. But more importantly, we have unlocked transport, more unique buildings, our buses, which is fantastic. Some more policies, a bunch of new roads, a bunch of really fun stuff. So let's go ahead and jump right into this. Okay, so now we have unlocked our transport tab. But first, before we jump into that, we do want to do a high school. We still haven't placed one down. So we have our elementary school over there. It would be good to have our high school a little more centralized. So what I'm thinking is right here, and then we'll do a park off the backside. So what we'll do is go ahead and grab a road. We will have it go right here so that we can provide a little bit of access to that path right there too. So now people can cross over here, which is fantastic. And so let's go ahead and place this down. And what I want to do is put a library right next to it. So we're going to go ahead and go like this. We're going to connect this up in a couple of locations as well. And let's put the library right next to it. I really like this. I think this is fantastic. And so now let's come over here and we are going to extend this out. Let's go into a park and I want to do a bigger park. So we'll go ahead and put this large park right there. Nice. That looks great. And so now let's go into our paths and we're going to grab this gravel path. Let's go ahead and connect this up in a couple locations just so that we can get some more access over here and to make it look a little bit better too. So let's go ahead and create a path back here. Nice. And so now we have created just a little bit of space in here, made it a little bit nicer. Let's go ahead and connect this up just so that people can get in there. And then let's go ahead and connect this up too so that people from that little corner can get in here. Let's do the same thing there. Nice. And so now we have our first little schooling area, and I think this is fantastic. We can jump in here, and these are actually trees that were a part of a free update. But because they were free, you even have them if you have the base game. So now what I want to do is go ahead and just place a little row of these down. I want it to look really nice. I'm going to go ahead and get this done real quick. All right, so I got those young lindens in. Now what I want to do is jump into this live oak, and I just want to place a couple of these around just to kind of give it some more character, like maybe this is all one big park. Because we don't have the Park Life DLC yet, we really don't have a whole lot we can place in here. But I think maybe doing a playground right here would be good. So we will go in here. Let's go to a small playground. So small playground, let's go ahead and place that right there. Fantastic. And then we will go ahead and decorate this up more. And you know what, that actually already looks pretty good. Let's go ahead and place a couple of these in. And one of the ways that you can make your trees look a little more real is by mixing them up. So if you use just one tree, a lot of times it just doesn't look that real, and it's because that's not normally how trees work. So we will go ahead and place this around. And so now we have created some nice green space, some areas where people can kind of go and sit underneath, even though we don't have benches just yet. We will here soon, but that looks really good. I really like this area a lot. While we're at it, let's go ahead and finish off this area too. So we will come in here, and I'm just going to go ahead and connect these up with paths, do probably some more paths in here, and then do some trees real quick. Okay, and so just by doing a couple little trees, you can already see that it makes an area look so much better. And so now we have our 2 education systems, which is great. Now let's start looking at our transit options. So transit is super important in this game. So we actually want to jump out of here, and we need to do a bus depot. So let's actually put a bus depot over here. It does look like we're starting to have some water issues. So we are going to place a bus depot right there. And then before we move on, let's go ahead and place a second water tower. I think we're going to go ahead and place it over here. So we will, let's actually place it like right here. I think this is going to be good. We'll go like this. And for some reason, there is a little bit of a noise pollution. That's what that orange circle is, even though water towers, I don't believe, tend to make a lot of noise, but that should satisfy our demands. So let's look at this. Yes, we have water availability. You can kind of see this brown over here. That is all pollution. And so you do not want to put these right next to it, because then all your citizens will start to get sick. And so that is something that you want to be mindful of. So now we have a bus depot, and we can start placing down our first bus lines. So let's come over here, choose this guy, get out of this view. All right, so let's come in here, choose this. And so what I normally try to do is have bus lines that will run both ways without kind of meandering around with a bunch of turns. I think it just, at least in real life, it makes your path a little more direct. So we want to come all the way over here. And with buses, you don't want to put your stops too far away, but you also don't want to have them like right next to each other, if that makes sense. So we'll come up over here. Let's do that. And then what we're going to do is have it come down this little main road, and we're going to go about every couple streets. Come all the way down here, come all the way down there, and then we are going to complete that. And so I'm going to go ahead and do that going the opposite direction. Okay, and so now that we have that line, what I would want to do is tie this in with the broader area. So now what we're going to do is come down here, and we are going to create another line. And I think I want to connect our industrial area to this too. So maybe we'll come up here, go like that, and come all the way around. And again, we want to make sure that we're getting stops pretty close to each other. So we're going to come down here. I don't want to put a stop on our couplet. So we're going to come down this road. And then what we're going to do is go right there, and we're going to follow this road all the way across. Same stops. And then we're going to come up here, have that connect right there. And we'll also go up here and just complete that. Nice. And so we can actually get rid of one of the ones. Did I do 2 over here? No, I didn't. So now I'm going to go ahead and do that going the opposite direction. Okay, and so now we have a loop coming up over here, and we have a loop over here. We have pretty much covered our whole city. So now we're going to come in here, and we are going to change the color. So we're going to keep 1 and 2 the same color, and we're going to go ahead and turn 3 and 4 into separate colors. So we're going to turn this, we're going to name this Old Town Loop 1, and then we are going to name 2 Old Town Loop 2. And by naming them, this actually helps you later on down the road. So we are going to do center to industrial loop. And whenever you have a ton of lines, it just helps you to identify those lines. So one of the things you can do once you get buses, the system will automatically populate these with a predetermined amount of vehicles. So it is smart to go in here routinely and just kind of see how much ridership it's getting. So your standard buses only have about 30 people, which is actually okay. It looks like this one stop is pretty high. So if you click it, it'll actually bring you to the stop and kind of show you. This is one of the ways that you can kind of audit your system and see like, oh, should I put in another line, or is this coverage adequate? These are the lines that I think is going to be a little bit bigger. So like this one already is getting pretty big. So we may need to add in a couple more vehicles. So it looks like we have 4, but they're moving pretty quick. So let's give this a second and see if it just bumps up, because we want it to drop down a little bit lower. So I think we're going to jump this up to 6. Yeah, we're going to go 6. And then let's go ahead and jump into the secondary one as well and see how it's doing. So this one doesn't seem to be doing as bad, though this one is still pretty covered. Maybe we'll go up to 6 as well, and then we can always come back to this and kind of readjust it again if it needs to. So now let's jump out of here. So now we have adequate bus coverage, which is fantastic. And so we should be close to hitting our next unlock, which will give us more stuff to play around with. So city policies, a bunch of new stuff. So let's actually jump into policies now while we're kind of waiting for a little bit of this to grow out. So if we go in here, hit this policies tab, you can see a bunch of these bigger policies like power usage, water usage, smoke detector distribution, pet ban, recycling, parks and recreation. A lot of this stuff is really good for your city recreational use. I tend to use recreational use, especially as the city gets bigger, because it just kind of boosts tourism a little bit. But then also recycling. These are things that you can impose upon your citizens in order to, make a better place, or do whatever you want to do. And so now we will come in here and we need to do some more zoning. So we're going to go ahead and fill this in. And I want to do a little commercial center back here. This is going to be kind of like a major road back here. So I think we will go ahead and connect this up one last time. So we'll go like this, and then let's actually have it curve into that other intersection. So if we go like that, perfect. And then let's fill this in again. So let's draw in our path first, just to make it a little bit easier. We'll go in here, go ahead and turn off snapping, even though we could have went to grid. And then let's go ahead and draw this across. Nice. And so we are really just moving along. We need to put some trees in that area. We need to do some trees in this area. Plop down some of these. So let's fill these in. We'll go like that. We do need to check our water availability for these areas. So let's go ahead and fill this in. I think we're going to leave that other side available for the park. And then let's jump into our waters tab. So it does look like we need to upgrade our water just a smidge over here. And so another big thing that we have neglected to this point is cemeteries. Cemeteries are pretty important for cities. And so we will come up over here. Let's actually jump into our medical tab right now. Let's find a good space for a cemetery. So we could, I think right here actually would be fantastic. So let's go ahead and place 2 cemeteries. Okay, so we got our cemeteries in. I think these look great. Let's go ahead and put down some trees just to kind of clean this space up a little bit. So we will go ahead and plop these all the way around. And I just kind of scatter them around because I want to come back through with other trees to make it look a little bit better. So if we go like this, just kind of, fill this space in. Yeah, nice. So now we have our cemeteries, which is great. I do also want to place down a child care and an elder care, but we are having some industrial demand. So I want to come up over here and extend our path out. So we are going to jump into paths first, and then let's fill this in with industrial. So let's go over to our marquee tool, grab that four squares down, go like that. Fantastic. And we could even move this back there and start transitioning this into something else. That could actually be smarter. So let's go ahead and dezone that, and we are going to build out our path up here. So we do eventually want to reach a point where we stop building industrial, and so I think this is going to be a good space for us to kind of do that. We can do a little buffer and then start building some more residential over here. So now I do want to come in here and do a child care and an elder care. So I think what we're going to do is create a little space in here. So if we go ahead and turn on snapping, have this go up here. Let's see if we can, I would really like it to be flat. So if we go like that, let's see if we can create a little medical clinic over here. So we're going to do the elder care right there, and we're going to do the child care right there. When placing these down, you have this kind of sphere of influence. You definitely want to pay attention to those. Because this is kind of off to the side, it's definitely not as good as it could be, but this is still a pretty good little location. Let's make sure that it is connected up to power. It is not. So let's go ahead and connect this up. So we'll go like that. Fantastic. And let's go ahead and put in a small park in the middle just to kind of tie it all together. So we'll grab this. Let's go to that small playground, especially since it's the childcare. I feel like this would be good. So we'll grab this. Nice. And so now we have a nice little area over here. I actually really like these buildings. These are fantastic looking buildings. So let's go ahead and decorate these up a bit. I do want to jump in here and start using some bigger palm trees off this backside. I really like these ones, but I think that this is going to help kind of clean this up a little bit better. Then whenever you're dealing with these terrains, especially in vanilla, one of the things that you can do is just kind of cover it up with some foliage. Just a really unrealistic thing. You can also come in here into your level terrain tool and just kind of tie this, just kind of smoothen this out a little bit. Just make it look a little bit better, just because we're working with the terrain right here. So if we go like this and then go over into shift terrain, there we go. That looks a little bit better. We will come over here and do some foliage as well, make that a little bit nicer. And then I'm going to go ahead and just place down a couple of these little palm trees and then do some trees around the outside, just kind of make it look a little bit better. Okay, so I went ahead and decorated this all up, and I think it looks really good. I went ahead and did some purple little bushes around and then just kind of tied it all in together, and I think it looks fantastic. Man, we are already at another electricity kind of shortage. So let's come back up here and let's look at this building first. So if we place another one in here, is it going to look weird? Let's go ahead and do it right across the street. Again, I really wish there was parking in here, and we don't have access to fences yet, so we are going to come back through here and probably do some other facilities just to make it look a little bit better. Okay, so we have that power facility down. Let's go ahead and start moving on this way. So before we move on, let's go ahead and purchase that other square. So if we come over here, grab this, we can grab that square and go ahead and purchase it. So in the standard game, you have a limit of 9 tiles that you can purchase. And so you definitely want to be mindful of that whenever you're building out your city, because you do have that limit. So now what I want to do is grab our little coastal road and have it continue on. So we are going to have this road kind of just come down here. And I think that looks pretty good. And then let's have our couplets. We're going to grab this, just go straight. So we're going to have this go straight all the way down. And we're going to begin to turn it probably about like right there. So I do want this road to follow as well, so we're going to go 2 down and then we're going to have this come back, and I feel like that looks pretty good. And then let's go ahead and connect up our little dirt paths now. So if we come in here, now what we can do is begin to shift our orientation a little bit. So now it is something that can actually help your city to look a little bit nicer if you just turn your grids every so often. So what we're going to do is begin to turn them right here. We're going to go straight down. So this is definitely looking pretty cool. So now what we can do with this section is to actually go up here and have it curve into this road. And we want to make sure that it's level. All right, so we have hit Busy Town 4,400. Man, we're already inside our goal. So with this one, you really don't get a lot of new buildings. You get roads and stuff like that. We really don't have, we get the oil power plant, which is fantastic. We get the hospital, which is really nice. Those are for more like bigger settings if you want to build like a whole facility. But then we get specializations, which is really good. We really haven't touched on industrial yet, but it is definitely a tactic that you want to utilize in your city. And so now we have our beginning curve, which is fantastic. This is already starting to look really cool. Our grid is changing. We are having some more designs come in here. So let's go ahead and grab that. Let's go ahead and do this. And then we will, we could leave that open. So I think we're going to leave this one open. We'll leave that one open. We're going to do something here. And then let's extend out our commercial area now. Okay, so now what I want to do is start zoning out some more residential. So we definitely have a pretty high demand for residential at this point. And so this is already coming together pretty nicely. So let's go ahead and lay down some water pipes, and then we will go ahead and hit play and let these people start moving in. Okay, so now we have water pipes in. We have some awesome coverage coming down. I think this is going to look really cool. We have a lot of room for us to be able to come back through and do some trees. And so I think we're going to end up doing a detailing time lapse. But I really want to start getting some homes over here as well. So we will extend this out, go ahead and turn on snapping, have this go like right there. And then let's have this go up one more, connect that up. And so I feel like this is already looking pretty good. We have a lot of residential coming up, and we have a lot of open space for us to do some fun stuff, like come back through with some unique buildings, maybe on the next episode and stuff like that. And so we will go ahead and follow this down. Want to follow that same path. So we'll go like this, and then let's come down like this. And we'll go ahead and copy this on this side. And I don't want to put residential right next to that, so I think we're going to leave a little buffer zone right there. And then let's go ahead and fill this in. So we'll go like that. And then we can come in here to our little bucket, fill this in. We do need to get some more services over here though. So I think what we're going to do is place another clinic right here. And then let's go ahead and do a fire department as well. We'll go ahead and place this over there. And then we can do the police station right there. And then we can come back through here and zone in a large portion of this as commercial. So we'll come in like this. And I really like this idea. I like the idea of doing the commercial down the middle. It's really going to allow us a lot of room to do some fun stuff. So I do want to come back through and make sure that we're getting our path sections. It does look like we're a little off on this one. So let's fill this in, and then we will come back through and delete that. We don't need this last row. It's not going to zone in anyways. One of the things to keep in mind, you can really only get zoning for 4 units. So anything beyond that, like if you have a couple roads in the back and you do 5 units, it's not going to zone on that backside unless you have zoning on the street behind it. And so one of the cool things with these little couplets, we're going to come back through and decorate them up and just turn them into little green spaces. And it's really going to help us to capture a unique look with our city, with the trees in the middle and kind of the separation. It almost looks a little more realistic for me. And so let's come in here, make sure that we have adequate water coverage. We do. It does look like we need to do another water pipe though. So let's go in here, or another water tower. Let's place another water tower like right here. And then let's make sure that we're connected up. So we'll come down the middle and then connect this up. And then it does look like we need to do another drain pipe, even though our poor water over here is just doing terribly. So we'll come over here. Where is it? So if we go, so we will place another just sewage dump pipe, just dumping it right into our beautiful water. Pretty sure there would be like a huge movement around this. Like they'd be like, what are they doing? Like, especially look at this sludge. This is just crazy. So let's go ahead and unpause, let this run. We are almost to our goal, and then we're going to jump into a detailing time lapse. I'm pretty sure we got everything in there. We definitely need to do some more parks over here. But then we got transportation. We could extend another bus line. I think that's going to be smart. So I think what I'm going to do is do another little loop around, just have it go this way, and then we'll do both directions real quick. Okay, and so we have our new section, and I think what we're going to do, so I want to extend Old Town to this area right here. Go ahead and go like this, and we will encompass our little elder care and child care over there. And then let's go ahead and draw in a new district over here. And if anybody has any fun names, go ahead and let me know. I think what we're going to do for the city name is actually name it Beginnerville. I feel like that would be fitting. And so I actually do want to bring this all the way down the middle. We'll go like that. And then let's cover this up. And so for our name, we are going to change it from San Vegas. You go ahead and click on this little eye, click that. And we are going to change it to Beginnerville, because this is just, you know, our beginner's guide, and I feel like this is a good name for it. And so we have hit our goal of 5,000. I feel like we have a fantastic start. If I missed anything, go ahead and feel free to let me know in the comments down below. What I'm going to do is go ahead and jump into a detailing time lapse, and what I'm going to do is put trees around this whole middle side, just make it look a little more realistic. I'm going to do some palm trees as well, some of those live oaks, and just really clean it up. What's going on over here? So we have, because there was no water, so do they have water here? Ooh, look at that. Look at this. So this would be pretty important. You, especially as a city official, you would want to make sure that this is correct. And so now they are saved. Hopefully that lot gets sold again. I'm also going to place down just a couple more parks. And so I hope you guys enjoy, and I will see you guys on the other side. Okay, so I am finally done detailing. And so one of the things that you can do in your city to help capture a little more of a realistic look is to place down these trees in here. So a lot of times with the base game, you just have this ruining in here, and it just doesn't look very realistic a lot of times. And then there's just not enough trees. And so you'll end up with big open areas that don't have a lot of trees. And so one of my secrets is to just place down a lot of trees to kind of fill it in. Because one of the things you see, like when you're overlooking a city a lot of times, is just a lot of trees with homes. And so it really helps to kind of hide a lot of those lines and tie everything together in a much better way. So I went ahead and put in trees in here. I did do a path going along our couplet with some young lindens kind of strapping it down. I didn't do anything on this side because I'm not exactly sure what we're going to do with this space yet. I think we were going to do some residential, but I'm just not sure with the industrial. I kind of want to do something better because we're going to attach this to the freeway, And then I really want to start growing along this way, probably cut across the freeway and really start getting into some industrial. And especially as we add in new DLC, we're going to be adding in new elements pretty much like every episode. And so over here, I did do a park as well. And if you go into your little parks and plazas tab, you do have a prop tab. And so you get like a lot of these little planters, little benches and stuff. And so I went ahead and placed down benches along our path. I put in little lights just to kind of tie it all together. It looks really good. It's definitely a bigger park. But I really like the look of this. I think this is a fantastic start for the city, and I really hope that I helped some of you guys to maybe grab onto some beginner ideas with this. I'm going to go ahead and make this series our new series for every Friday, and so if you enjoyed this episode, you will definitely enjoy the episode on your screen. And thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you guys on the next one.